We're just looking at textual evidence and seeing if it's being used to support what the author says. So, the guiding question today in our notes. Nancy, will you read for me? The guiding question? Does my textual evidence support my argument? Okay? And what are the things I'm telling you to remember there? What's the first one, Demetria? Argument is only as strong as the textual evidence used to support it. So your argument is what you write after this part. I will argue that. It's the stand you're taking on your issue. Gun control is important. Gun control isn't important. Death penalty is a good punishment. Death penalty should be eliminated. Violent video games affect kids negatively. Violent video games don't really affect kids at all. Right? If you're picking one side, that's your argument. Your argument is really just your opinion on the topic. It's only as strong as the evidence you have. What's the second thing I suggest under remembering? Kimberly? If I can find textual evidence to prove that the sky outside is green, then I can build a strong argument that it is. If I can find research that says the sky is actually green when human eyeballs have particles in them that make it look blue, then I can build an argument. What says that? You all might write these really good arguments that disagree with me, that say, no, are you crazy? It's blue. It's obviously blue. Here's 20 scientists who told us the sky is blue. I can look outside and see that it's blue. You're wrong. But if I build a really good argument that it's green, I can argue that, as long as I have strong textual evidence. What's the next point, Luis? Third bullet point? Right, it's just an opinion if you don't have textual evidence. So your opinion is important, but it's not as strong as an argument that has strong textual evidence to support. And then finally, a strong argument can stand up against other arguments because it has textual evidence as support. So if I were going to have you come up here and say, all right, Armando, you argue that video games are bad for kids, and Eli, you argue that they don't cause any problems at all. The winner of that debate is going to be the person with the strongest textual evidence that can prove their argument best. And you put it together in the most logical sense, like a logical way that makes sense for us. They could both have good arguments. We'd have to decide that who are the strongest. And the key to that is textual evidence. So I have written for you steps you're going to follow on this handout. Again, this is yours to keep. I'll give you another copy for you to use while you're peer editing. You're going to follow these steps just one after the other in peer editing your partner's paper for strong textual evidence. I'm going to show you with an example that I've written that might be similar to what you've written, so you can see exactly the steps I want you to follow. So what I'm going to need from you as we go along is just to follow along up here, follow along in your notes, to make sure we cover all the steps. We're going to go through the introduction paragraph of my paper and the second paragraph I wrote. Okay? So, the first paragraph, and I'll read it because my handwriting is not always the most legible. I believe the death penalty is wrong. I will argue that the death penalty should be eliminated because it might kill innocent people. Also, it isn't the right thing to do to kill someone, even if they killed someone else. Finally, the death penalty is not effective in reducing crime. I suggest the death penalty should be eliminated and killers should be sent to court camps instead of being killed. So that's my introductory paragraph. What is the first thing I'm going to check for on that paragraph, according to the list that you have on your notes? What's the first thing I'm going to check for, Nancy?
If you put, I will argue.
Okay, what do we call that statement? Thesis, right? That's where I tell you what I'm going to argue in the paper. And I suggested on Friday that you all actually start that sentence with I will argue, because it's stronger than saying I think or I believe. Right? So I will argue. So what is my thesis statement in this paragraph? Omar? Right. I argue that the death penalty should be eliminated. So according to my notes, I'm going to underline that, right? So I will argue that the death penalty should be eliminated. There's more to that sentence, but the real crux of my argument is that the death penalty should be eliminated. What's the next thing I need to do in the introduction paragraph? Emily?
Number the author's 3 main reasons.
Number the author's 3 main reasons. Remember on our outline over there on the right side of the board, I said mention your 3 reasons in your introductory paragraph. Don't go into great detail, but list them. So I'm going to look for the 3 examples of the 3 reasons listed here. Okay, well, my thesis is I will argue that the death penalty should be eliminated. I think the first reason is that it might kill innocent people. You all agree that that's the first reason? So what I'm going to do is number that. I'm going to go ahead and just put in parentheses so that I know that, and then I'm going to write a number 1 over it. I think my second reason is that it's not the right thing to do to kill someone, even if they killed somebody else. So that's the second reason that the author is listed here. So I'm going to bracket that, or put that in parentheses, and write a number 2 over. What do you think the third reason is of the introductory paragraph? Come on. Can you speak up, please? Yeah, that it's not effective. It doesn't actually cut down on crime. So I'm going to put that in parentheses and write a number 3 over. Okay? You don't have to use the parentheses, but it makes it easier to see what you're talking about. Now the next step I need to do in the introductory paragraph is what, Jasmine? What do I have on the list as the next step you need to follow for your introductory paragraph? I just did that, right? That's what I need to do next. Right, remember, we also need to introduce our solution to the problem. So this author suggests that the death penalty should be eliminated and killers should be sent to work instead of put to death. So I'm going to circle this part. Okay? This is this person's solution. Now, in my notes it says, if they've left out a thesis statement, any of the 3 reasons, or the solution, then I need to write it down on my paper. Right? There are lines available there for you to write down what they left out. Did this person leave any of those out? No, they got all 3, so I'm good to go. I can move on to the next paragraph. Let's read through the next paragraph together, and then we'll see what we need to do with it. The death penalty should be eliminated because some people who are convicted of murder are actually innocent. CNN reports that the death penalty isn't legal in all 50 states. In my research, I also found that estimates suggest that as many as 50% of people on death row are actually innocent. Therefore, I argue that the death penalty may actually kill innocent people before they can prove their innocence. So, the first thing I need to do, according to my notes for paragraph 2, is what, Eli? What's the first thing that it says in the list to do for paragraph 2? Underline the author's main reason. And what does it say it should match? What's the rest of that? It should be the same as what? It should be the same as what I listed in the introductory paragraph as my first reason. Okay, well, the reason I think that this author is talking about in this paragraph, that the death penalty should be eliminated, is that it says right here, some people are convicted of murder who are actually innocent. So I'm going to underline that, okay? Some people who are convicted of murder are actually innocent. And then I'm going to go back up here to the first paragraph and see, is that one of the reasons they listed? It is, right? It might kill innocent people. So that means that this is one of the reasons they wanted me to talk. That they wanted to talk about in this paper to support their thesis. Maybe they listed them in a different order than the introductory paragraph. Then write in their notes, put them in the right order so that it goes in the order of the paper. Okay, you don't want to list the third reason first. You're going to talk about 2 other things before. So far, so good. What's the next thing I need to do, Anani? I've underlined what their reason is. Now what? Okay, so I need to bracket the textual evidence so I know that they need 2 pieces in each paragraph. So my first piece of textual evidence is CNN reports, I'm going to put in brackets, that the death penalty is illegal in all 50 states. And I'm going to label it textual evidence number 1. What is my second piece of textual evidence? Laura? Okay. So I also found that estimates indicate that as many as 50% of people on death row are also innocent. Okay, so that's textual evidence number 2. Now that I've bracketed my textual evidence, the next step on my sheet of paper is to go back, read the underlying reasons at the beginning of the paragraph, and then read the textual evidence again, and ask myself what question.